Got it.
Hello, purpose-driven career leaders. My name is Kori Burkholder, founder of Purpose-Driven Career Accelerator program. And I am super excited today because I have got Marc DeGeorge on the video chat today. And he is an alumni of the Purpose-Driven Career program. And I wanted to connect with him today because he's got some really exciting news to share with us. But I wanted to get him on here today because I speak with a lot of professionals who have a lot of different ideas in terms of passion projects and side hustles and things. And many don't feel like they have the time or the space or the energy because their day job just takes up so much of that time. So I know that can be frustrating, and Marc is really going to be an inspiration to us all in how he created the time and the space, even with a full-time job, to launch two of his passion projects actually into reality. And we will get into that in a minute. So this is for all of you who are feeling a little frustrated right now, have these ideas, they're probably swirling around in your head. You're not exactly sure which one to focus on. But without further ado, welcome, Marc. And I know
Thanks.
it's been a while since we worked together. I don't know, a couple months,
Yes.
a year maybe?
No, a couple of months. It's been
Yeah.
almost 2 years. Would you believe it?
Oh my gosh, time flies,
Yeah,
right?
indeed, indeed.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe about your professional background, anything else that you want to share with us before we hop into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've always been a musician my entire life. I've been really lucky to work in the music industry for most of that. I've done the odd job here or there, but I would say the majority of my professional career work has stayed somehow related to music. I know that's really tough for a lot of people, not just music, but any creative field or, any any type of artistic performance field is really kind of difficult to find a match or a balance where you can have longevity in a career. A lot of people go into teaching. Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky. I now work for a manufacturer of audio and broadcast products. I've been working with that job now 10 and a half years. I'm very happy to have found this job. But, just I think like anybody else, my career path in the past was, a little bit here, a little bit there, uh, a little bit towards my career goals, a little bit against my career goals. But ultimately, I always like to say all experience is good experience when it comes to a job. And whether that means you are finding work that adds to your career knowledge and experience, or if you found something that you absolutely don't like to do, at least now that you know. And I think,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's
So
what I
I
always
think,
share with people when they know what they don't want. I'm like, that's great.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what brought you to coaching. I know it was a while ago, but do you remember?
Yeah, well, I think at the time, working in my career, things were really slow business wise. A lot of things were kind of stagnant. I didn't feel challenged in my job. It was kind of like, oh, I'm just waking up and going through the motions. And as much as I like the company and the people that I work with, I just wasn't seeing any real growth.
Mhm.
So I wanted to find out for sure, what, if anything different I should be doing, because I thought at least this is the time to do that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so let's dive into your exciting news. So
Okay.
do you have one in your hands?
Well, not in my hands, but I do have one, uh, which is right here. And you can show it first if you like, because mine has a not for resale thing on it. So there it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
Marc wrote his own book. And this was something that we talked a lot about in the coaching, was your
Yeah.
passion projects. And you're a creative, you're
Very
into
much so. Yeah.
music, you're into writing and things. So this was kind of a seed that was planted during our time together, and you were really taking it to that next level. So do you remember the moment when you decided, during our work together, when you decided to be an author and to really own it?
Yeah, I think, it was actually during a couple of our conversations where you had brought that up and you had reminded me, about this. Hey, don't forget about your passion. Yes, we're focusing on, making money career job, but don't forget about your passions. And I guess by the third time you had mentioned it to me,
Mm.
which was basically said, don't do it with some type of I must achieve this, right? Don't start that way. Just start doing it.
Mm.
And so I did. I think the first night I started writing, I did maybe 1,000 words. And I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I did it again, and then I did it again, and I did it again. And what I I did, because I enjoyed doing it, I found that I enjoyed doing it, thanks to your suggestion, um, was that I created a really good habit. And that
Mm.
really good habit was writing consistently almost every day uh, of of the year. So in 2020, I think there was probably a handful of days where I wasn't writing.
Wow.
Um, and that is a really tough habit to create. So, not just in writing, but in anything. If you want to be creative, they talk about the difference between inspiration and perspiration. Um, right. 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration.
Yeah.
You got to do the work, right? But you gotta you gotta help yourself along by starting with that good habit. So, the best thing that I could have done was just to start with no particular goal in mind. And as I kind of got into it and figured it out, I'm like, I'm really going to complete this. I'm really going to write a book.
Yeah.
Um, and in May of 2020, I finished that book. I sent it to an editor who sent it back to me, and I re-edited it. That book is actually not the one that we just talked about. This book that came out is actually the second book that I ever wrote, which is, yeah, in the author world, this is a very normal thing that,
Mhm.
your first book is just you learning the process. Um, and I think that goes for any creative field. It's like, just do it, just start, be, put something down. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
you know,
And you are a very busy professional. Like before we started
yes.
recording, you were talking about your work, and so how a lot of people, and I think it's maybe it's an excuse, maybe it's fear of failure or something, but the procrastination, or like, how do you find the time? How did you create that time for yourself?
Well, again, just to give viewers some background, I have a day job that's not just an office job. All right, I do outside sales, which means that I travel. Not I haven't traveled that much this past year, but typically on a regular basis, 50% of my work is outside of the office. Um, what I did from the trips that I did this past year. Um, I started just bringing files with me. I put, loading them onto my laptop and bringing them with me. Uh, and, I would write on the plane. I would write
Mm.
in my hotel room. I would write any chance that I had a free moment to do that. And then outside of that time, I was focused on my day job. Um, I think part of it helps that I've been doing my day job for a little while, so I'm well familiar with it. But of course, these past 2 years, um, it, it's been a completely different type of challenge. So I've had to kind of relearn my day job while I was doing,
Mm.
my evening work. But
Mhm.
outside of traveling, I certainly do other things. I'm a musician. I have time I need to practice. I do photography. I was doing photography semi-professionally up until about last year. But now that things are getting better, I'm going to try and get back into that again. So yeah, I mean, my day is full. I think I was telling you, I work about 14 hours a day pretty much. Uh, but the writing aspect of that doesn't feel like work to me.
Yeah. So how do you think that your passions help you in your day job? So, you're writing and you're getting this creative aspect of yourself, and you get to, really explore that. Do you think that that helps you in your work life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you have a level of satisfaction with your passions, that you feel like you're achieving something, for your passions, you don't have this, fear of or intimidation, like, oh man, why am I not doing this? Or how come I'm not doing this? And that affects your ability to think clearly on your regular job, right? So now that I've got these two things going, I think I have the ability to, and I'm sure many people can do this, but I have the ability to separate what I do during the day and what I do during the night. And of course, yes, I think about writing when I'm working during the day, but I also think about my day job at night, and that's completely normal. Uh, but you know, because I have a level of satisfaction doing my passions, I'm very comfortable in my day job now. I chose to stay where I was, um, just because some of the options that I was considering would have maybe taken a little bit longer, and then of course the pandemic happened, and so that made that reality a little bit harder. But I think being able to achieve uh, having a passion and working on a passion has made me feel that much more comfortable in my day job.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And then you've got so many different ones. Like a lot of people have a lot of creatives have the challenge of too many creative projects, too many
Yes.
ideas, and so it's really like, which one am I going to focus on? Because I remember you had the photography, you had the videography, where you were actually interviewing dancers during the pandemic, which was awesome.
Hmm.
Like that was your thing back then. So,
Yep.
you got to prioritize the passion projects because you got the day job as well. But you
Right.
seem to have done that very successfully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even now that I'm just focusing pretty much on writing specifically, I have a handful of book ideas that I want to write, and of course, I want to write them all now, right at this moment, but I can't, because it's just there's not that many hours in a day. Um, that said, I that's what I did. I made a decision to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this one first, and then after I've achieved this many books in this series, I'm going to write something else. Um, you know, and at some point, I will find some time to get back into doing photography again, and doing the documentary work that I really liked, really enjoyed doing.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think that you had like this bigger vision for yourself, right? I think we spent some time carving that out, and so you have
yeah,
these steps that are taking you there, right?
yeah,
Um,
very very much so. And your passions can also tie into each other. The idea of doing documentary came from my passion of writing and my passion of photography. I just combined the two.
yes.
So I'm still telling stories, but I'm telling stories about real people. And certainly you can find ways to do that as well.
Yes, I love that. Combining passions. So what words of advice would you have for somebody who, has ideas of passion projects, but they're just kind of so stuck deep in their career. They don't have the time. What words of advice would you give to somebody like that?
I think it, uh, an object in motion tends to stay in motion, to use Isaac Newton's laws of gravity there, um, which means that if you can get yourself started doing a passion project, just get yourself started on that passion project. Find 15 minutes in a day to start working on it, right? Then 15 minutes the next day, and 15 minutes the next day. If you feel like you are forcing yourself to do it, maybe at first it might seem that way because you have to create the good habit within yourself. But uh, you know, eventually, after a certain amount of time, it should just become the situation where if you don't do it, you feel wrong, or you feel like, holy cow, I have to give myself a half an hour. And uh, don't have this gigantic goal to achieve something. you know keep it realistic, keep it small, right?
Baby
uh
steps,
yeah,
right?
just yeah, you got to take the first step, and that's how you begin the journey. And that step can be a baby step, it can be a giant step, but it's whatever you can achieve at that moment.
Yeah, I love that. And that's kind of like, I have that my passion project outside of my coaching business. So that was the Wild Dreaming deck. And I would get up early in the morning and be writing and painting and in my spare time. So even when you have a business, you still can have your passion projects and your side hustles, but it's
Yeah,
creating the time, like you create the time when you're on the traveling in between in your hotel rooms, getting up earlier, staying up later. So there's always time. So I just want you viewers to get that in your mind. If you have a passion project, you can create the time. I mean, we've got the evidence right here with Marc's book, the origin story, right?
Origin Story is the series, and Starship Sneak is the name of the book. So
Okay.
um not only did I write one book, I've actually written three so far in the series. uh so
Wow.
So yeah, the origin story is out now, available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Apple Books, Kobo, Google. And the next one comes out January 24th. The next one comes out in March. And there's probably going to be 7 books in this series by the time I'm done.
Amazing. Do you just want to give a little like snippet of what they can? This is a sci-fi book, right?
Yeah,
You're
it's science fiction. Yeah, it's science fiction because that's something that I love to read, and I love science fiction stories. So this is the genre that I decided to write in, and basically, it's about 5 friends experiencing life post high school, trying to figure out their roles in life, and having that fear about not being able to stay together. And then something big happens where they go through this amazing adventure. They figure out this big conspiracy with the government, and they save their own planet in the process. It's a lot of
wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Only on
fun.
page 4, but I'm gonna get there. That sounds awesome. Well, so great. I just want to congratulate you. You
Thank
are
you.
an inspiration to me, an inspiration, I hope, to everybody who's listening out there. Your dreams can become a reality, as we've seen here
Absolutely.
with Marc. You got to find that time to really dedicate to it. So yeah, if you are interested in exploring your passions, your side hustle ideas, or you feel lost in your career, I invite you to schedule a quick 15-minute brainstorming call with me, and we can work out if or how I can help you. And I'm going to drop the link to schedule that call in the comment section, and I'm also going to share Marc's your link as well, so they can check out
Nice.
your book. And I wish you all the success in the world. I know that you're going to
Thank
find
you.
that you already are there. You've got the plan, which is so exciting. Anything you want to share before we sign off?
Um, I think a lot of debt and gratitude is owed to you, for seeing that passion in me, and being a really good coach in reminding me of it until it clicked. And then I just, after that, I made it happen. But it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you for trusting me as your coach. It was an honor to work with you, and I can't wait to get your next one. I'm going to read this one, and I'll be looking forward to it in January.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right, Marc.
Thanks.